What's good, y'all? I am psyched to once again cover these buffs and changes for Ariados. I am in love with them. They're probably in my top 10, maybe even 5 buffs overall in this hack in terms of just how much I like them. Obviously, I love them all, and they're all great, but just in terms of how much I like the Pokemon and how much I like the new traits and tools and possibly typing I've given them, this is up there. Electros is up there, all those types of guys. But yeah, I love Ariados. He's super sick, and this typing fits really, really well. Obviously, yes, Ariados is still a poisonous, or rather venomous spider, so I'm not trying to say that bug poison makes no sense. Although, if you do go to the Pokedex and read it, nothing about Ariados' entries actually mention the poison, I believe. Yeah, not a single dex entry talks about poison, not one. In fact, all the dex entries talk about more, dark type traits, like it wanders in search of food after darkness falls. It's all talking about string and how it traps its prey with that, and creeps up on its prey and captures them with that. It constricts the foe with thin and strong silk webbing and all that types of stuff. So I think Bug and Dark fits just as well as Bug and Poison, and Bug and Dark is a much more unique typing. So another big part of this ROM hack is making all of the Pokemon stand out from one another, right? So essentially I have to balance it so that Pokemon with the same type combination don't have the same abilities or whatever. So in the Bug Poison's case, obviously Sniper was, not obviously, but if you're new here, by the way, first of all, welcome. Second of all, go to the Google Sheet linked right down below in the description and look at all 600 plus move buffs and changes that you can see right here on screen. If you click this little tab, it'll take you to a very detailed move guide where you can check out all these move buffs and changes. Those are all super important, and they're organized into all these different categories for your viewing convenience. Another thing is that with all these new abilities and all this other stuff, you can see what all those do down in the description on that Google Sheet as well. I will be covering Ruthless, obviously, but that functions like Sniper, right? So Beedrill is a Bug and Poison type with that exact same ability, and I don't want to take it away from Beedrill. And then Scolipede is a Bug and Poison type with Intimidate. Obviously, they also have secondary abilities. Scolipede still has Speed Boost as an option. All Pokemon are balanced in this ROM hack to abuse an infinite use ability capsule. So essentially, you're changing between your abilities depending on the boss fight that's coming up. You can optimize your ability to, make the most out of that Pokemon. So obviously Ruthless is a big damage boosting ability in this case with tons of new moves that will always crit, and then Intimidate is a great utility ability which also fits Ariados very well, being this giant spider with the scary mean face on its back. And then Spinnerack has nice little abilities for early game. It'll evolve just in time for Hala, so you're mostly only using Spinnerack for like the beginning part of Melee Island. It has great abilities though. Unnerve is great to prevent berries, which are very common, especially early game. And then Merciless is great with moves like Toxic Thread and Bar Barrage, which will always poison the opponent, so you can get nice crits going with Merciless, especially versus like Totem Gumshoos. You could use like Toxic Thread and then, use like other stuff from there. But that's super fun, and obviously it has solid stats. It's pretty tanky, not really tanky, but it's got good stats. It's quick, it's relatively strong. It's just a fine Pokemon for Melee Island. But Ariados is where it starts to get super fun. With Ruthless, you get a huge 50% boost to your crits. So essentially, these are all the moves in this game that will always crit. Okay, they're all on screen right now. They're also listed on the move sheet in more detail with like the exact effects of the moves. But First Impression, incredible move for Ariados. Pursuit, great move for Ariados, that will always crit as well. So First Impression is 135 base power with Ruthless. Pursuit is 112.5 base power with Ruthless. Finishing Blow is almost 80 base power with Ruthless, and it gives you +3 attack if you knock the opponent out. Solar Blade is a nice little gimmicky option with like either, and technically you could run them under the sun if you do have like a Droughtmon on your team or a Sunny Day strategy going on. Otherwise you could just use Power Herb Solar Blade if you need to hit like a water ground Pokemon or something to kill it in one hit or something like that. It's situational, but it's just a nice little TM. Wicked Blow, they learned that very early, so I did give them all out incredible moves super early on. They do get the 50% crit moves earlier on, so at level 34 and 36, you will be getting access to Cross Poison, Psycho Cut, Laceration, Night Slash, and X Scissor. If you hold a Scope Lens, those will always crit, and those go from 70 base power to 158 base power. I also gave them Strength Stat, which is a very, very fitting move for a spider Pokemon. Their whole thing is sucking out the fluids or life force from the Pokemon. They also get Leech Life, which is buffed and changed, rather, I wouldn't say, and it's buffed because it heals more, but it is weaker. So it's 60 base power, but it heals you by 100% HP, which is super strong. Of course, they still get Sticky Web, which is great, especially when their speed stat is solid. It's good. It's 99 base, but especially without max speed IVs or a plus speed nature, you're not going to be outspeeding as many things as you might want. So with Sticky Webs, that can really help that, not only for yourself, but also for your teammates. Sticky Web plus Intimidate is great support. You know, you can use webs, Intimidate, Parting Shot, Strength Sap. It's beautiful. I mean, that's awesome, right? You get Strength Sap just in time for Olivia, which could be a nice little tool with Intimidate to check a lot of her Pokemon. And then webs later on, you know, you got Toxic and all types of other useful stuff. And then, of course, Ruthless is much more blatantly offensive, and you can use that as well. You also have other priority moves. So obviously, First Impression is still strong on Intimidate sets, right? It's still a 90 base power stab move coming off of 111 attack, and that's a nice TM to have. Sucker Punch is also a stab. Creeping Strike is bug-type Shadow Sneak, so that's super strong and nice for priority, especially for earlier in the game. Yeah, these guys are super. It would be so fun to use. Like, I really want one when I do my Nuzlocke. Obviously, I'm going to do a bunch of them, but I want them on my first run really badly. There's so many bug types I want on Route 1, though. Yeah, they also get Molt for reliable recovery when they evolve, so you will have Molt for Hala, which is nice. That's bug type recover. You also get Scary Face for Hala, which drops attack and speed, attack by 1, speed by 2. That's also good for a lot of the Akala Island totem battles, same with Toxic and Venom Drench for a lot of the totems. Pursuit is actually situationally much stronger than Night Slash, so Pursuit means that you don't have to hold the Scope Lens to always crit, so Night Slash with the Scope Lens is weaker than Pursuit, I believe with the black glasses, right? No, not with black glasses, 112. 12.5 times 1.2. Yeah, no, it's still weaker, but 1.3. Still weaker, Jesus, okay. Yeah, so Pursuit is 50 base power, but it always crits, so it's still like worth using over Night Slash because you don't need to hold the Scope Lens to always crit though. Meanwhile, Night Slash is 50%. However, the benefit of having Night Slash is that you have other 50% crit moves like X Scissor and then those 3 covers moves. So it's kind of just up to you which one of those you want to use. Yeah, this guy would be so fun. And then Wicked Blow at level 50 is really strong. Wicked Blow is 180 base power, the only drawback being that it has 90% accuracy, which can be life or death in a ROM hack like this, in a hardcore Nuzlocke especially. But, you know, it's still a great move, obviously. Wicked Blow, very strong. Level 50, that'll be in time for the Aether Foundation stuff. And you can always just slap on Choice Scarf or Sticky Web for certain boss fights to outspeed things and, you know, kill them with this Wicked Blow. You've got Parting Shot and U-Turn. You've got other great utility like Taunt. It's got such a good blend of utility and offense, and it's just such a cool dual typing. It's probably my favorite dual typing in the game. The only other bug and dark type in the hack is Excelgor, who is significantly more offensively oriented and is an absolute blast cannon with very little defensive utility. Not that he has none. He can still switch in on psychic moves and use fast Parting Shot and, you know, T-spikes and stuff, but Ariados is a lot more bulky and has good utility because on the physical side, with Intimidate, you can actually tank a lot of physical hits. And then especially, you know, you can run Assault Vest for certain boss fights. You can use like Intimidate Assault Vest to tank a specific hit, and then, you know, First Impression, then you turn out for certain boss fights. That's a very good strategy. It really just depends on what's coming up and what the opponent has. Trainers abusing Ariados is also super scary. If you are new here, sorry, if you're a returning viewer rather, I did recently change Pursuit to be yet another 100% crit rate move. So that's super cool, especially for like trainers. It's really, really powerful. Like Guzma, you know, with like, he can have like an Arios for that first fight with like Pursuit, First Impression, Ruthless. Like that's super scary because you send in your First Impression answer and now you have to switch out again, and Pursuit is like super strong with the Ruthless boost and the switching. So yeah, that's super fun. Strength Step super fitting. I just love these buffs and changes overall. The dark typing does fit really well in my opinion. It helps Ariados be a lot more unique. The only overtly like toxic or venomous thing about Ariados in my opinion is like the color scheme, and also the fact that his signature move Toxic Thread, well, it's not signature anymore, but the fact that it is the fact that it is poison type. You know, but Pokemon can be poisonous and still not be poison type. I mean, there's tons of Pokemon in the game that are, you know, that have venom or poison that are not literally poison type. But yeah, I just think Bugdark is a lot more unique and a lot cooler, and it helps him stand out from Pokemon like Beedrill and Scolipede. So yeah, I love this. Really, really sick overall. It's also arguably a better dual stab combo, especially when you consider the fact that Bug was buffed offensively in this hack. Fairy, Ghost, and Fighting no longer resist Bug, so that gives you a lot better neutral coverage with your Bug and Dark dual stab. But yeah, First Impression, absolute crazy strong move on Ruthless Ariados. Very useful priority. You've got all types of other fun Ruthless options, and then great Intimidate utility and utility moves. So that's about it. Thank you so much for listening. It was an absolute blast to talk about these guys again. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.